Alright, before we get to doing the valves here, I'm going to put some oil in the bike and let the oil start draining into the bike. It's going to take a while to get past the oil and all the way down to here. So I'm going to put the braking oil in here. So we're using the driven braking oil. So put that in the oil tank. 1550, a little bit thin, but that's all you can get. Braking oil is made for cars, not bikes, so don't make thick shit. You gotta deal with what you gotta deal with. Alright. We'll throw a set of cord, a straight 50 motorcycle in there on top of it to thicken it up a little bit. I already checked to make sure the drain plug was in the tank. We're not sure how much oil's in that lower end, so I'm only going to put 1 quart of oil in the tank here. Transmission appears to be empty also, so got to put some oil in it also. Kind of way these things go. So I got a new bag of corks here for the push rod covers. Tube seals. So you got the thin ones here, small ones, small diameter. They go up inside the head up in here. So you got to push those up in there, make sure they're in there all the way. These are the James rubber impregnated ones, rubber impregnated cork. That's pretty much about the best ones to use. I've used all the different ones they make over the years, all the different styles, and they're all pretty much work about the same. The ones that work the worst are the hard rubber ones. CCI used to sell those, but there's some other vendors that copied them. They're just so stinking hard, they don't really seal up anything. Alright, so you got the small ones on top. On the bottom we got the big ones. These are bigger diameters here. So they go in the lifter block. You gotta make sure they're halfway big on size. If they're too small, they just rattle around in the block and they will start to leak a little bit. These ones aren't real big diameter, but I prefer them to be tight. But there's an oil hole in there, you got to make sure it's covered up. It should be done draining. So if you look over here inside the lifter block, you have an oil hole right there. If that doesn't get covered, it'll leak. So when these things just drop in there, like that, they get a little bit of clearance in them. They can slide up and leak, but these are big enough that they are going to cover, but obviously I like them when they go in tight on the OD. But it is what it is, so live with it. Okay, I got 1 quart of it here in the tank, so that's enough for now. Just to get it running. Let's see how much pumps back the tank, and right off the bat we'll throw another quart in there pretty quickly. Because it, let me see what you're looking at. With the oil tank over here, where the outlet is right here, 1 quart doesn't get you much in there. Remember, half the oil is on the other side of the tank, so it doesn't do anything for you, so I'll do that. Actually, I might even put more in there, because that is pretty high up. So the oil level has to be this high. It might not be enough to do what I need to do. Take a look. Yeah, we're good. We're about up to here. So. It's hitting the bottom of the dipstick. That's a plus. Okay, so on the transmission oil, pretty much put these in to the bottom of the threads over here. So you can see how the bottom of the thread is right down there where my finger is. That's pretty much how far it goes in. The problem is you got a transmission here, it's got a lot of oil in it. Or it's got holes that go through over the transmission main case. So this can fill up pretty quickly and look like it's full, and it drains down. So you have to kind of take your time on putting the oil in here. So especially when you got thicker oil like I'm going to use. Everything's in my way. There we go. So we're going to use an 85 140 Maxima. So that's what I'm going to use for the oil. You can also use an 80-90 weight, but that's kind of thin. But it's better than motor oil. This is probably basically empty because I can't see oil in the bottom of the case. And I did make sure that the drain plug was tight earlier in the video. Okay, kind of let this drain slowly. Of course I can't see it because I'm on the wrong side of the damn bike because the camera's in my way. So if I go over here where the camera view is, I can see. Not exactly the right funnel you should be using. You should have a longer snout on it, but oh well. It works. Not really, because now it's overfilled. Remember I said it fills up quickly? Guess what it's doing? We're making a mess. Oh well, I'm good for making a mess. We just made a mess. It's coming out the bottom now. It's overfilled. I sure didn't think that needed near that much oil. I don't think it does. I think it just needs to drain on the other side. Yeah, we'll see. Alright, so for now we got a nice wheeling mess right here, but it's alright. At least we know everything's lubricated now. See how much tranny oil's in there now. It's past the bottom of the thread. It's to the top thread. It's gone down a little bit, but it's slowly going down. Yeah, you can see it in there. The oil level's dropping. It's draining. So now it's below the height of the thread there now. So it's draining away. It has to get to the other side of the case. I just poured it in too quick and it's too cold out tonight. So that's why it's that. Put the rest of this in there. Now we can make a bigger mess. We like making big messes around here. It's not coming out the bottom yet. That's a good sign. Oh well. Wouldn't hurt to jack the bike up and spin the rear wheel either. I usually do that too. Take a while for this to drain. Alright, we're done watching that drain. Enough of a mess. Okay, we'll let that do what we're going to do there. I'll get back to work over here. Let's go ahead and do the valves. Alright, so we just got done timing the motor. So we should be pretty close to top dead center. Where's my screwdriver at? Okay, use a Phillips screwdriver to check your TDC. That way if you bend at the tip, it doesn't fall off. If you have a straight blade, it pops off usually. At least if it's a good screwdriver, because it's hardened. So, first thing I do is take the spark plugs out. I put in this so nothing falls in the hole. You notice I'm running an equal match set of plugs. kind of. Got one black one, one silver one. One's Autolite, one Champion. We're saving money for the customer. We're using this whatever plugs he had laying around. They're new, but they're not matched, but they're close enough. They're the same basic heat range. All right, so there's a piston down there. See that? So you put your screwdriver in the hole. When you kick the motor over, you want to keep the screwdriver fairly upright like this, not like that. That's what breaks them off. You want to keep it up like that on top of the piston. So when the piston comes up, you're there. Now this one here, piston's down the hole a bit further. Oh, actually, this one's on top dead center. So that looks like about the same spot. Yeah, we're pretty close. So right now, this one's probably not quite at top dead center. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the kicker over there a little bit, and you can see where I'm gonna with the spark what this tool is gonna do when it comes up. If it drops down, we went too far. So let's see what happens here. There's the hole. See how it's coming up. And let's see if it starts to drop. You're done. When it quit moving, that's where you stop. If it drops, you definitely stop. Okay, so now we're at top dead center. We were on timing spot before. That's why that was 30 degrees before top dead center. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do both push rods on this cylinder. So let's see if we can look any higher. There we go. So we have our push rods right here. Got a full set to choose from. So first thing to do is make sure, see if there's any differences in length. So you put them on something flat, like the footboard here, and you look to see if there's any differences in heights. So I'll keep moving when I move them. So they're all the same. Where you at? They're all the same height here. They're just adjusted different here. Okay, so the push rods don't matter which hole they go in. If you had longer ones, the exhaust valves are longer than the intakes on the push rods. The front exhaust is always the longest, rear exhaust is next longest. The two intakes are basically the same. So what I do is you take the adjuster and screw them on up a little bit. See if these things turn freely. Close enough. Make the easiest one the inside, the intake. I'll make sure the nut's not too rounded here, the jam nut. That looks good, but it's tight, so I'm going to make that an exhaust. Okay, this one moves, everything moves, so I can make that an intake. This one here, everything's moving. This nut's a little bit nicer, so I'll make that the intake. Okay, so I got everything separated out. So I got the intakes, exhaust. This is going to be the front exhaust. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the short ones, the intake. You got to make sure it goes up in the rocker. So you drop it in, push. There, it popped in. So you want to make sure that goes in there. And you look, see how much length you got down here. We got a long ways down to go on this. See how much length we got here before we even hit. Okay, so that's close enough. Okay, now we pull that out. Go ahead and push, take up the adjustment a little bit. Get close. Okay, now we're going to take our cover. Put it in the bike. Put a little bit of oil on the tips too. So you want to put a little bit of oil on your push rod tip. And down here I steal it out of that. And this is a cork style cover. Cork style cover has flat bottoms and tops, no lips. If you have a lip on your cover, it's for an O-ring. Okay, now you just put it back up in there again. Stick it up in there. Pull up with your finger and then unscrew the other nut. Screw the adjuster down. Get a good view of my elbow. Okay. Where's my clip at? Okay, you gotta take like a clothespin, stick it on there to hold it. Okay, so you want to go to zero adjustment first. No way. Ah, damn jam nut's jammed in there. Nothing like screwing me the first thing. Okay, now I can adjust it. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you can. First thing you do is get the adjustment figured out on the push rod here, the lifter. So here we go. So you see how it's going up and down the lifter here? So you got you turn that out until you're at 0. So you're closer. Get in there. Go down until you can just feel it. There, I just feel it. This lifter is solid, so it's got oil in it. So you get a hard stop. Sometimes the lifters are soft, you can push them down. These are hard. Okay, when you're at 0, that's where you start counting. And these push rod covers are too short to let me hold it very well. So you go up there, you hold the upper push rod with a darn wrench. I can't get to. There, no, I can. Okay, now you unscrew these 24 flats. That's 4 full turns. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, then you take the lower nut and bring it up until it touches the push rod. So that was right here, the sample. So we adjusted this down, then we take the lower nut. Where are you at? Pull this damn thing back. Okay, here's your push rod. You unscrew this until you get where you need it to be. Then you take the lower nut here and you just turn it up. Damn, this one doesn't rotate. Well, this is going to be the exhaust. That's why it doesn't rotate. Different push rod. Okay. Now you adjust it down here till it hit and you got your clearances. Then you go adjust the jam nut up like this. You adjust up till it hits the push rod. Then you hold the push rod and you tighten the nut up. Now if you do it with the wrenches like this, you can just squeeze your wrenches and it makes them tight. It's a lot more control doing that than anything else. And you can tighten it down pretty good that way. Now to unscrew them, you do the opposite. You squeeze the opposite direction. So you flip the wrench, it goes the other way. Now when you're unscrewing these, you want to make sure you're not holding on the jam nut, you're holding on the actual push rod when you're unscrewing this. Because otherwise you're getting a false thing. So yeah, that's all it is to it. Now I want an extra flap because when it tightens up it'll pull back a little bit. So I just go a little extra just to make sure. Now if I use my right hand to hold the push rod, when I tighten the jam nut up I just squeeze. The other way I have to pull them apart, which is a lot harder to do. Okay, now you just go like this, tighten them up, and you're tight. Now the important thing is you cannot turn this motor over until this thing is free. The lifter has to bleed down. After it bleeds down, you should be able to turn the push rod with your fingers. Easy to just do it up here. If you can turn it, you can turn the motor over. If you don't, wait until this bleeds down. The valve's off the seat right now. When you turn the motor around, you get valve to valve, valve to piston, coil bind. You bend push rods, bend valves, all kinds of problems. Not good. I recommend that you don't do any of those. Highly recommend that you don't do any of those. It happens a lot. Okay, you hear that pops up in there? Okay, so that one fits good. Okay, so I'll go ahead and lube up this one. Now I do both the valves together at top, dead center because that's when the piston fires. I figure the valve should be closed when the piston fires. It's kind of an important thing to have all that cylinder pressure. I don't really care about any other spot in all the 2 turns of revolutions it does. As long as it's closed at top dead center, we should be good. Now this here I just missed a push rod when I did that. Just go back down here and put it back in. See, I'm not paying attention. See, now it's in there. I'm holding the push rod up with my 2 fingers. Tighten the adjuster screw with the other 2. Okay, that's 0 right there. So you can take that and hold that up with that. Wipe the oil off your fingers. Okay, now you go ahead and move this nut up here. Now see that just unscrewed. I'm not holding. Oh, this is the one that was tight. Okay, now I'm going to have to unscrew this nut all the way up, and it's tight, at least it is right now. So I'm going to have to hold the bottom adjuster to move the nut. Now this is not adjusting the valve, it's just moving the jam nut up. It's a different piece. You got 3 parts to play with. You got lock nut, push rod, and adjuster. Each one is a separate thing. If you don't tighten the jam nut against the push rod, it will unscrew. Tighten it down to the adjuster and bottom it out down there does not make the push rod tight. I've had several people do that. They get pissed off when they tow it here, and I show them what they did. Usually after they tell me they adjust the valve, I tell them to go and do it right. Sometimes they do it right. If you notice, this nut has a split in it. That is so it can collapse onto the threads of the adjuster. There's a taper on it. It collapses it. So you get a double locking feature. If you tighten the nut down good and tight, it ain't never coming loose. Okay, so now I got that all the way up. So we take out the push rod. I mean the cover. Okay, we hold on to the push rod itself. Make sure I'm at 0. That's 0. And we do the same thing. We count out 24, which is 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See, somebody put a red spot on there. They were counting turns. It's easier just to count your flaps. I was at 12, remember? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Now you move the lock nut up. Okay. If you want to do it this way, you notice the adjuster's moving. There's like 2 times it moved, 2 flats. Okay, now this way here I got to pull it apart. I have to push on the push rod to keep it on the tension. And that makes, you're trying to bend the push rod and it's hard on its parts. So it's a lot easier just to flip your wrenches around. So you have no pressure on the push rod at all. You just squeeze them with your finger, with your hand, your grip. And you're not putting any forward pressure on it. A lot better. These are not moving, so now I gotta wait. Depending on how good the lifters are, it might take a while. Depends on how bad they are too. Well, this is a hydraulic unit here. See how it's full of oil? It's full of thick ass 50 weight. That's why they're not moving. So this might take a little while before they bleed, which means I have to wait longer. Most of the time they bleed down already on the one, but in this case, not yet. Okay, so we're going to go back to our oil. So I don't know if you can see in there how it's, why is it not going back? So you can see how the oil levels drop back down there a little bit. Not super far, but down a little bit. Bring that back. So I'll go ahead and put a little bit more oil in there. And I want a little bit of oil to go in there, so I'm going to go ahead and jack the bike up a little bit so that I can spin the tranny, spin the rear wheel. Now I can't spin the rear wheel has no chain on it. So somebody didn't put the rear chain on it yet. Probably because the brakes aren't on it. A lot of stuff not done yet. So I can't spin the tranny except from kicking it, so that only spins half the gears. So. But that's all I can do, so we'll leave it at that. Okay, this one here is empty. A little bit left. We got about this much oil left in this one, right here. Should be enough to fill this thing up. On an empty transmission, you usually have about an inch and about 3/4 to 7/8 of a quart. It's pretty much about what they carry. So. But you always have to look, because every tranny is slightly different than what it wants. So we're going to give it one funnel worth. All the way up to the top. Dropping back down again. So, this is nice and tight. I bet you this bolt's really tight too. This is called a rattle. Ooh, I can turn one push rod. So this one here I can turn right there. Oh, that one turns too. Okay, good. I was going to fix this while I'm waiting for these. I don't have to now. Alright, so go back over here. So, these now rotate. See them rotating. So that's a good sign. Okay, now we can go ahead and turn the motor over, which will get the kicker roll going. Alright, so we're going to turn this around and go. When this intake one closes, that means the piston's coming up. See how I just closed? I might have missed it. Put the screwdriver over in the hole. Nope, it's coming up. Okay, quit moving, so it's all the way up. These two are closed, so we're good. So now we go ahead and adjust these two push rods. So I'm going to do it the same way as to the other one. Okay, that one, see, that doesn't want to go in, so I have to adjust up a little bit more. It just fits. We're good. Now you can either run this wire on this side or on the other side of the clamp there, bracket, whatever you want to call it. Technically it's a bracket. Nobody really cares. Okay. I'm doing the intakes first because they're easier to do when the exhausts aren't in there. And the push rod wasn't in the hole. I had to move it until it went in the hole. Now the push rod goes right in like it's supposed to. Tighten it down. Remember, I used the one I can adjust easily. Okay, we're at 0. Move the nut up, the jam nut. Push rod just moved a little. Okay. So I can refine my 0 point. So blow up a little bit so you can see. Okay, so we're a little bit below, not quite 0. Rotate until it just goes 0. It's at 0 right now. Okay, I'm going to take the clip off so I can get to the nut, or the push rod, not the nut. Okay, now we're going to go 4 turns around. See, now right now you can see the red dot. So technically I don't have to count. I just rotate 4 times around. See, that's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And I'm going to go 1 flat more out there. Okay, so you can do it that way, but I prefer just to count the damn things. And that way you know exactly where you're at when you get stuck. You don't lose track. You can tell the difference between 6, 12, 18, and 24. Most of the time you remember that number, or at least within a couple. If you're a couple off, it's not that important. If you're 6 off, it's more important. That was 1 flat back and half more. Okay, I'm off the push rod nut. There, it's tight. Okay, this does not rotate, so we'll come back for that. Okay, this is the one that doesn't rotate. See, I did that one first. Now, see, when you put this one in here, see, it blocks this one a little bit harder to get to. That's why I do it that way. There's no reason to fight this stuff when you can make it easy on yourself. You got to put them all in anyway, so what's the difference, right? I didn't pre-adjust this one, so I'm just going to keep screwing it down until it goes in. See, it's still not quite in there yet. Okay, now I just got it where I'm in the lifter hole. Now we just keep going down until it gets tight. Okay, I just got down to where it stopped. Wipe off the excess oil there. Okay, now I get the nut to go up. Okay, this nut here is loose, so it's going a little bit. Not that loose. Okay, let's come back and find our zero. Okay, obviously that's not a zero. Right there is zero. Okay. Push rod. And count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I don't know what that noise I keep making. Every time I hit the nut, it made a noise. It's like the piston was moving over there or something. Okay, that's ready to lock down. So reverse this here. A little more bite on there. It's tight. It's not turning yet. This one's already turning. See up here? Turning. This one, not quite yet. Okay, go back, look at our oil level. It's back down again. So put about half a funnel full in this time. That's enough. Right up to the top there. Okay, let that settle some more. Okay. I can't turn that one yet, so we can't turn the motor over yet. Now, I'm not sure what they had this bolt in here for, down over here. Watch what I do during the filter training. Alright, so this one here is just laying in here. Now they might have a spring that went from here to keep it advanced. See, it needs to be advanced. This needs to be advanced all the time. So if you put a spring in here to here, it'll keep it kind of advanced. It'd be better if you went that direction. Usually what I do is I put a long coil spring in here, with a lot of, a carburetor return spring, one of the little long ones. A lot of give in it. And I'll put a zip tie off the frame rail over there, and I'll come about 3/4 of the way this way and just put the spring right in the middle. So it just keeps tension on. It doesn't need a lot of tension, just a little bit. Because if it'll retard like this while the bike's running, that's not good. You want to have it advanced all the time. So usually that's what I do. Because this is soft enough here, this thing will just retard like that on you. Because it's rotating it's rotating clockwise, so it's going to naturally want to go clockwise. So we want to keep it that way so it's advanced all the time. That's a good way to burn up your motor when you don't have it locked in. So this bike is supposed to have a throttle up on the spark control throttle grip, which you would automatically keep it fully advanced. But that's not hooked up yet, so not there. Okay, this is not tight yet, so we'll keep waiting. Okay, the transmission I think is good on the oil. It's right at the bottom of the thread. It's not dropping too quickly anymore. So if it's not full, it's pretty damn close to it. Okay, and I got two ways of doing this. You got a screwdriver slot with a big screwdriver, or you can use handle locks. Now, as long as these don't slip, you don't tear up this cover. If it slips, it tears up the floor. So you gotta make sure you squeeze hard enough. Doesn't screw it up. Alright, so that's all done. A nice leak over here from all the oil all over the place. Alright, so we got some motor oil in it, not a lot. Probably not quite enough for what we really need, but I'll see. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what's in a crank. Actually, I know there's not a lot in a crank because we had the motor apart. And I don't think there's a ton of it in there. Probably some in there though, I bet. So we'll have to see. Now we gotta see how much oil pressure we get. So I'm gonna have to kick this thing a few times through to see what we got. Still waiting for this adjuster here to push rod to bleed down so I can go ahead and turn the motor over. Make sure everything's make sure everything turns over freely before I put the clips on there. I always want to make sure everything moves around because I can see the push rods moving. And if anything goes pop, I can see it. Sometimes you don't get the push rod up in a rocker arm. It'll go pop and it'll be real loose because you fucked up. So you have to go in there and straighten that out. You know, stuff like that. You just gotta pay attention. So we just have to wait for this thing to bleed off. Now on the other side, we're not going to put the spark plugs in right now because I got a kick on the bike. I'm just going to hot wire it to start it. So basically, I just got a hook juice to it. So I don't have to worry about this. This would be connected where the battery was if it had a battery. So I'm going to go ahead and just hook the jumper wire up to one of these posts up here, because I want to power up the idiot light. So I'll find the hot wire, which is usually on the other side, and we'll just jump it, and then that should turn the coil on. Oh, I got to mix some plug wires up, it looks like. Yeah, we kind of need plug wires to start it. Okay, this takes some cheap ass plug wires I don't use. So I gotta go get a set of plug wires. We have to make up a set of those. So I do have to put the spark. Damn, these stupid rubbers. So we do have to put the spark plugs in here so I can got something to go by for the height. Now this is a point ignition. It takes a solid core plug wire. So that means it's either all copper or all stainless, depending on what your wires are made out of. Obviously copper wire is better than stainless for electricity going through it. But they both are better than suppression core, which is junk. Now, if I start this, I'll lose this washer up here when the tank's off, so I'll have to put a nut up on that so I don't lose them. Let's grab a couple nuts for that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's see if we get this cleared up yet. Oh, there we go. It just started turning. Okay, good. I can turn the motor over now. We can keep videotaping. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to kick it by hand and see if the motor turns over without any issues. Oh, that's not very good. And I'm kind of looking at the choke and it's half on when it's off. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn this through and see if there's any noise. Oh, hey dumbass, put the spark plugs in there, didn't you? That makes it a lot harder to kick. Alright. There's one click at some point I keep hearing. It's only once every 2 times though. Right there. Right there again. Exhaust closes, I can hear it. Yep. Exhaust closes, it goes clunk. Clunk. Yeah, it goes down pretty hard. Push The hydraulics completely bled down now. I'm not sure what's causing that. It might make a little noise when it first starts. We'll see. Alright, so now to put the clips on there. Clips are right here. You stick them up inside the head up in here, and you put the screwdriver in there and clip them up. There we go. You want a medium style blade to go up under here. Now, if you put them on like this without putting the inner tubes up, you have a big oil leak. So you gotta make sure you put the inner tube up, get it up in the hole up there. Make sure the bottom one's down in the hole on the bottom down here. Down there. And I got pressure on my finger right here, pushing it down. And you take the clip, shove it all the way up. I've still got the other finger on the back side holding it. Then you got the the screwdriver goes in there, and then you lift up and push in, go back and forth a little bit, and it pops in. Then you take it and rotate both covers together as an assembly. You kind of center them on the corks, and that way if anything in between the cork and the cover, it would have squeezed it out. And you're going to do the same way. Boom. Rotate. They're good. Move on to the next pair. It's pretty straightforward and quick doing it this way. There's other ways of doing it, but this one works the best. If you hit on a fin or something, you have to rock it down from one screwdriver on this side, one on that one, go on down, then put the clip in it. But that's usually Sportsters have that problem, not Ironhead Sportsters, not shovelheads and stuff. But if these fins are way out, it'll catch on the fin. So it does happen, but it's pretty rare. Casting have to be made wrong. But, you know, it's a Harley. Things do go bad. Okay, now we're going to make sure we take out these nuts right here, bolts. We don't want to run a risk of these going into the motor. That would be an issue. Definitely not an issue I want to be happening. Okay, now looking inside the carburetor here, you can see how the butterfly is sticking down a little bit. That is not good for airflow. You want the butterfly to be level. So something is letting me go too far, or it's bent. So what I usually do is I go over here and I try to bend it straight, or bend it up. I don't care if it is straight or wrong. I bend it. Try to bend things up a little bit. Make sure this is all tight over here, which it is. There goes the 1 o'clock choo-choo, but it's only 11:35. It's early. Where's that lever at? Okay, so you try to get that where it's more straight in there. So it'll still close. Just you want to make sure it's straight. At least as straight as you can make it. You put a screwdriver in here, you can kind of feel about where it's at. So now we got it halfway straight. Look at it from the side view. You can see how the screwdriver is more or less straight out now. So it's basically getting full throttle now. So it's going to go to where it wants to, but anyway, that's one thing you want to do. You want to make sure the butterflies aren't bent close on you. That will definitely make it not get full throttle, which is obviously we're into getting full throttle around here. Okay, so we have to make some plug wires still. Put my plugs back in the hole over here. I'll find me some plug wires to cut up. Alright, we'll be back in a minute.